guys! Welcome back with Janoko 1. We're having a slightly different kind of supernatural episode reaction this time around because for episode 3, Bad Seed, for season 11, the reaction video wasn't quite as active as the previous ones. It was a lot more and a lot less, you know, well, of course at the end there was a lot more action, but a lot more reaction, I should say, but there wasn't, before that there wasn't much really to see as far as, oh yeah, totally was with you there on that emotional level, because like, for those of you who aren't particularly familiar, keep up with it. This episode was called Bad Seed. It was written by the writers notoriously referred to just as Buckleming. It's two writers that work together, and they are, you were probably more familiar with them as the racist truck writers, because yeah, racist truck, Death of Charlie, the sex scene with Castiel and April, that was literally, we were forced to watch like 2 people get raped as far as we knew, because oh god, these are 2 writers that are problematic at best and just downright offensive and bad every other day of the week, that are boring. And I really don't mean that unkindly. Now, the first 2 episodes of the season have actually been really excellent, as you can see from my videos that I've made. I really enjoyed them. And then you will see also that in this episode, it was not nearly as offensive or bad as previous episodes that they've written. It also wasn't nearly as boring either. What it was awkward. Their usual problems of poor pacing, flat jokes, awkward dialogue. Yet that being said, it actually is much better than their usual quality of work, as sad as that sounds. It, like I said, it was, I was not bored. It wasn't as good as the previous episodes, which it was more glaringly obvious, I suppose, the clumsy writing and stuff like that, on the heels of the previous 2 episodes, which were so excellent. But it like, even starting at the beginning, the restaurant scene with Rowena and the other witches, the dialogue was just awkward. Like, seriously, nobody talks like that. I mean, H.P. Lovecraft is also terrible at dialogue, but you know, he makes up for like a really damn good story aside from that. You know, you had the really awkward dialogue where the pacing and stuff and the pausing between her words, like to build this tension up to this big dramatic reveal that was supposed to be like, you know, end up being like a haha joke. And it was like crickets in the background, and the crickets in the background were meant to make the audience laugh. Except it's just like, no, that wasn't funny. Like, I'm embarrassed for her, but it really wasn't funny. You know, so the whole scene just sort of like, but of course then when she gets nearly assassinated by the demon, dude, that was boss. And she leaves and she's like, I don't know, Latining. And the furniture, you know, builds itself into a barricade behind her, and I'm like, okay, that was boss. Which I guess is kind of what bugs me about the whole scene. She is a boss-ass honey. And the fact that she seems so desperate to get these witches' approval, it makes no sense. It doesn't really seem to mesh with her character. She should just go off being her awesome self, and then have the witches like come to her about like, okay, what is this that's drawing our attention and power that we can feel swelling? We want to investigate, not her going to them, hey, look at me, I'm powerful, trust me on this one, I'm awesome. You know, it just doesn't really go, because she is boss, and she knows it, and we know it. But then she goes trying to like show her newest art project to, you know, her mother for her approval or something. I don't know, it just, yeah, it doesn't work. Like I said, they have very awkward writing, very awkward dialogue, all of it. They're just, yeah. Which case, like I said, this episode's actually an improvement compared to their previous ones. I give it like a generous 3 out of 5 compared to like their -1 out of 5. And then, you know, you go from that to, God love him, poor Cass. He's all sick and miserable. And then Sam insults his car, which is just like, oh, God. It's just like, I think it's crappy. I'm like, I kept waiting for him to say something like, I don't know, sarcastic and mean back, which is like, you know, your hair is crappy. Sam would be like, you want to fucking go? It would be entertaining, I'll put it to you that way. And poor Dean comes to his defense about, like, you know, trying to make him feel better. And Dean doesn't like his car any more than Sam does. So it was pretty hilarious. But again, then the scene, it was like, their episodes almost feel like somebody trying to drive a stick shift and they're not used to it. Because it'll be riding along smoothly and then, okay, they try to switch gears and then it's like, you know, and it's just not smooth anymore, and your stress levels get higher because it's just like, more mistakes, and then you go smooth again, and then, you know, the one little mistake just has more of an impact on you because you are still not smoothed out from the previous ones. And, you know, and again, with the bad, awkward dialogue that they just can't seem to get a hold of, and Cass being weirdly specific with his analogies. I mean, just saying he felt like he'd been thrown into a blender set to puree would have sufficed. I mean, it's a very vivid image, and, you know, we can all pretty much agree that, okay, been there, done that. But it's like they take it too far. And like, and literally nobody talks like that. Not even Castiel with his lack of people skills. So it just, like, it was really funny, but it's just like, just these little things that just ruin whole scenes and whole dialogues, and they shot themselves in the foot doing it. And seriously, don't get me started on the racist porn, because just, women are sexualized enough. Constantly we're looked at and we're leered at enough that we are just like in a state of perpetually offended or prepared to be offended when it comes to this. And also we get very defensive because not only are we so sick of it ourselves, we get very defensive when we see somebody else being the subject of it. So that, you know, we see this attempt at a joke. One, it's sexualizing an entire race of people. Two, it's sexualizing women. And three, it's making a joke over the fact that this race of women are sex objects. You know, and haha, that's funny. No, it's not. It's not. It's just not. You know? And why the writers think this is funny, I have no idea. You know, why even some of the actors seem to think it was pretty funny, not sure about that either. Because it wasn't. It just wasn't. You know, and Cass and porn jokes, not funny. Wasn't funny when it first started happening. Still not funny now. Could have done without that my whole life. Now, I did like Amara and Crowley, though the Uncle Crowley thing came across as really creepy. It really did. It was fine up until he corrected her and was like, Uncle Crowley. Especially because in the last episode, he shows up in a creepy van and basically, you know, tries to entice a little girl into his van with, you know, the line about, do you want some candy? And the little girl get into his van and go home with him. Okay, well, we know it wasn't creepy, and it wasn't creepy when we saw the van itself was creepy. And in any other context, it would have been supremely creepy and disturbing. But we knew it wasn't that. It was just like basically playing on that. And like if anybody should have been afraid, it should have been Crowley of Amara. So I mean, it was fine. Last episode. But then this episode, you turn around and you literally have Crowley buying her dresses and spoiling her with gifts. And then it's just like, and then he corrects her and tells her to call him Uncle Crowley. And I'm like, and you just took it to that creepy place. It didn't have to go there. Like, in which case, I love the fact that her reaction is just to look at him. Like, you must be tripping balls. Because no. it just, but I did like the fact that the Amara and Crowley interactions. I'm not really sure where they're going with that, and I'm not really sure what Crowley's angle is in it. I'm very curious. And like that was one of the few things one of the things I really did was curious about, and I'm really curious about Crowley's motivations and what he's after, because he's after something, and I haven't given up hope on him because I still think he's good, or he wants to be good, and not necessarily as evil as he would like to be or would like to think he is, because he's not. So yeah, I still haven't given up faith on Crowley. I haven't given up faith in Lucifer, so I definitely haven't given up faith in Crowley. But I liked it. And then, of course, the scenes with Rowena, especially once the Winchesters capture her, tried strong armor into helping Cass. That was adorable. I love Rowena. She's adorable. I just want to put her in my pocket and feed her M&Ms. She's so cute. I love Rowena. She's so adorable, and she's so sassy, and she's just especially when she's like, do you want to sing a Weesey song? Sing a song. And the boys are no, and she's just like, I'm done with both of you, you're both dead to me. And then there was this scene that, it's another one of those ones that's actually kind of a problematic scene, in the fact that it raises more questions than it answers. And it's the scene where the angel and the demon end up in the cafe together eating or getting drinks. And in which case, because at first you're like, oh wait, are they fixing a fight? What's going on? What's happening here? Because the demon shows his eyes, and then, the angel shows his sword. And then they sit down and start having drinks together. And on the one hand, you're kind of going, okay, wait, hold on. If they're not actually there to fight, what was with the displays? Because angels and demons can see each other's true faces, so it's not like they had to reveal, hey, I'm the demon, hi. And you're like, yes, I have an angel sword, so I'm an angel, hi. We were scheduled to meet up here, and I'm just showing you that, yes, this is me, because I've changed vessels. They don't have to do that. So it was kind of, what was the point of that? But then I'm like, I have lots of questions. Who are these two? How do they know each other? Do they do this all the time? Is it a regular thing that they get drinks? Did they just, I don't know, text one or the other one? Did they do this every other Wednesday? Is this just, hey, once we get off work, we're scheduled to meet up, or was this, I had a particularly bad day, dude, hey, come, I'm gonna buy you drinks, it's my turn. What do they do if they meet each other while they're actually on the clock? Do they pretend to fight each other and then, go back to fill out their reports to their bosses and oh yeah, they got away, sorry, I tried my best. And then, once they're off work, go meet up for drinks, yeah, man, sorry, I had to rough you up. Just oh God. How'd you get away with it with your bosses? Was it okay? Did you have to fill out all the paperwork? Did you have to be punished? Dude, I'm sorry about that. Here, let me buy you a drink. How does that work? I'm very curious. And then also, is this an allusion to Crowley and Azrael from Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett? Because I'm pretty sure they already did that in season 6 with Crowley and Castiel. But at the same time, I'm very curious to know more about these two. Are they dating? I mean, what is this? And how did this start? Why was the demon suggesting heroism? Or at least that's the way it seemed. I would never say that a demon was suggesting, you know what, we should rise up together and, fight back the darkness and join forces to protect humanity. I'm not saying a demon should do that. I'm not. No. I don't want to get him in trouble. But it's kind of the way it sounded. And so if it's like I said, I was very, very intrigued by this scene, if only because it raised a lot more questions than it answered. And I liked the idea of this angel and demon on going out for drinks regularly, or possibly even being on a date. But like I said, it raised a lot more questions than it answered. So I was just like, well, okay then. But then, you get back to the main storyline, and just, yeah. There was a lot of repetition, especially with Amara, because it's okay, we get it, you're hungry. And and in doing that, they ruined the tension they had built at that point of portraying her as supremely creepy, because kids are creepy anyways. Okay, kids are creepy anyways, we're not even gonna lie. It's just, like I said, the awkward dialogue, repetition. Repetition is an excellent tool if done properly. A lot of times when repetition is being used as a tool, the first time you hear something, you don't pay it any attention. Okay, it's just a very casual line or action or something fitted in with everything else. So you don't really notice it. You notice it when it happens the second time. And you're like, okay, something about this is important. I should probably pay attention. And then it happens the third time. And usually the third time leads to a lot more tension and stress as far as what it actually has to do with everything else. Because, okay, this is really important and pivotal, and you need to pay attention. That's when repetition is done properly. Not to say it has to be done in threes, but repetition, you know, by the time you do it so many times, it should still be serving a purpose, not taking away from the purpose it's meant to serve. So that was one of the things that kind of, again, they did poorly. The Dean and Castiel, actually Team Free Will, finally working together again. Took forever. Oh my God. I'm like, do you know how many years we've been waiting on Team Free Will to act like Team Free Will again? Way too long. So I was very happy to see, yes, okay, thank you, fucking finally. They're all together again. Last time they did this, they stopped the apocalypse. I'm not kidding. And then, like, ever since then, they keep trying to deal with stuff on their own. And you've got Sam over here lying to Dean, and Dean over here lying to Sam. You've got, meanwhile, Castiel, you know, somewhere back here that has nothing to do with anything. And it's just like, why? 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 You know, because, no, they need to be together. All three of them. And, you know, and then Dean and Castiel's relationship is just, I treasure it deep within my heart. Because, I mean, they're just, oh God, I love them so much. I mean, these are two people that are the most unlikely of friends. You have an atheist, Dean, and then you have an angel who, like, 5 minutes after meeting Dean, threatens to throw him back into hell because, dude, seriously, you pissed me off, show some respect. I am better than you. You know, and like, you small little worm, how dare you step up to me? I dragged you out of hell, throw you back in. And just, oh God. And then they go from that. And the angel who doesn't ever have any free will or even think to disobey his orders. They go from, you know, not liking each other at all to tentative allies, to kind of sort of friends, you know, to, hey, wait, we're friends. When did that happen? You know, to the fact that, like, literally Cass died and it broke Dean and Dean couldn't take it. Like, losing Sam didn't even break Dean. Okay, Dean survived. But he lost Castiel and literally tried to basically commit suicide all season. Like, death through hunt while still drunk, you know, and drank himself into oblivion. And it was just, and then he got cast back and he got better, like, immediately. You know, so it was this season so far. We have, of course, Dean worrying and climbing the walls, freaking out. Where's Cass? Is he okay? What's happening? You know, to him, even though he is still filled with just guilt and shame over what he did to Cass and nearly killing him, regardless of the fact that it wasn't truly completely him and he wasn't himself, it doesn't matter. You know, he hurt one of the people that matters to him most. You know, he's not going to be okay with that. He, you know, has a martyr complex. He expects himself to be perfect, even while at the same time he expects everything he touched to fail. Because he's Dean. I mean, he's a troubled individual. He just, oh God. Yeah. Yeah. And so it was really, I really enjoyed all their scenes, and the fact that Dean tried to kind of take care of Castiel in this episode and wrap him in a blanket, and just, yeah, that was great. And fans needed that as much as they needed that. But then again, like I said, with the awkward pacing and the bad writing, and the feeling like somebody driving a stick shift that they don't know how, Buckleming basically sort of ruins it at times. They have something going good and then they mess it up. Like, they just don't know how to shift gears, or either, you know, keep progressing it to increase the speed to make it keep going and keep up momentum. Because when Dean and Sam and Rowena are searching the city looking for Castiel, And Dean randomly catcalls this woman. It's bad writing. For multiple reasons. And one of which, when she tells him to get a life, because he's like, hey, and she's like, get a life. Okay, this actually goes back to the whole thing with getting offended for other women when they're sexualized and stuff like that. Okay, we don't want to be on the receiving end of it. We get pissed off if we see other women forced to be on the, the receiving end of it. And I'm not really, it didn't mesh. Dean is on a desperate mission to find his friend before he can go on a killing spree. And he randomly decides, hey, to some woman he's never seen, who's like clearly a woman on a mission, busy woman getting places, getting things done, doing what she got to do. And she's like, get a life. Appropriate response. Because seriously, Dean, what the fuck? Like, what the hell was that? And it didn't mesh, that Dean would get distracted from this life or death mission to, hit on some girl. It did not make sense. In which case, I'm not sure if it was an attempt at cleverness. And I say attempt because they did not achieve it. Or if they did achieve it, it wasn't necessarily done well. Because if you remember in the previous episode when Sam was praying to God that Dean deserved a life, that Dean deserved a better life. Well, again, with the repetition tool, she tells him to get a life. And then when they actually go in the warehouse where Castiel is, on the wall, at one point in one of the wider shots, what it actually says is Vivo Novelties. And you only see it like in one shot, the whole thing. But the way it's framed in the majority of the scenes, it actually reads Vita Novae, which, being supernatural, first language any of us learns on here or starts to pick up, is Latin. Vita Novae is actually Latin for new life. And so, like I said, I'm not sure if this is intentional or accidental cleverness. In which case, again, even if it was an attempt at intentional cleverness, the scene with the girl made no sense. I mean, it was making much more sense for Dean to be like, hey, have you seen a friend of mine I'm trying to find a friend of mine to bring him to the hospital because he's sick. Have you seen him? He's walking around in a tan trench coat. Looks awful. That would have made more sense rather than, hey. What? That made no sense. It was a life or death mission. They know he's out to kill somebody. And Dean, it made no sense. It was bad writing. It really, really was. And I guess that's just, it didn't mesh. It didn't flow smooth. And like I said, if it was intentional, or an intentional attempt at cleverness, especially with the new life and the repetition and everything like that, and basically, I don't know, just all kinds of analogies and parallels are possible. It didn't go over as well as I'm sure they intended. In which case, one of the things that's glaringly obvious sort of throughout the entire episode, first rule of writing, and it's a very crucial rule, is that if a line, a scene, or a chapter does not develop the plot, a character, or a relationship, get rid of it. It should always do one of those three things, and if it does not, get rid of it. If you can remove a scene and the rest of the scenes in the story aren't affected, you don't need it. That or you better fix it so that it's vital. The fact that these writers are hired and they're paid, to write for these episodes for this show, and they don't seem to know the very basics of how to do their job and do it well, is insulting. It's insulting to the show. It's insulting to fans, that we write. Hell, we just write for love. And we write a lot of times, writers, it's a way of therapy. It really, really is. Sometimes it's therapy for us as far as dealing with an episode. And it's just like, I can fix that. I can totally fix that. I can fix that. Because we get emotionally invested. And it's just like, no, I can't. No, we got to fix that. Like, I rewrote an entire new season 6. It actually went over really well with all the readers. There's a lot of fan art for it. But, you know, there's just like... yeah. And so in a lot of ways, fan fiction is cathartic for fans. And we seem to... I think it's offensive a lot of times when we see that these writers are paid to be on the show. And it's just like, we do this for free. We do this for love. And we do this much better. You know, we at least understand the rules of writing, where seemingly they don't. They also don't seem to understand, hey, treat other people with respect. Women are not your sex toys. You know, we're not objects. You know, stop being racist. You know, stop making jokes or puns at an entire group of people. You know, that's not funny. Just like, or like an entire gender. Or like, you know, it's just, I have no words for these people, like, sometimes. And some of the things that the show has done, especially in the past, it's just like, how did this not get cut? How did all the people involved sign off on this? You know, how did they see this and go, you know what, that sounds like a really good idea. That sounds smart. Let's do that. Would you look at that? Like, no. No. Oh, God, no. You know, this, in which case, how did they forget Jimmy? And, you know, hey, there's this thing, it's called consent, you know, and that both of them are possessing other people right now. You know what we should do? We should make them have sex. Or, you know, let's have an episode where a minor nearly gets raped on screen. Yeah, because, you know, that's good writing. No, it's not. And if you were reduced to cheap shock value writing, then you're not good at your job. You know, if you can't write a gripping storyline that's emotional and all these other things that writing should be without having to, like, resort to easy theatrics, you're not trying hard enough. Like, really, aim higher. Come on, you can do it. I have faith in you. You're getting paid after all. That all being said, like I said, I did enjoy the episode, and this was actually a big improvement for Buckleming. I mean, seriously, which case everybody is as sad as that sounds, because I did have quite a few negative things to say about it, but not actually, like, I wasn't as offended as probably other people were. Mine were more like, okay, these are writing issues, and being a writer myself, this bugs me. You know, as which case also with writing online, a lot of times when we read other people's fics and stuff like that, especially the new ones, or like new writers, you'll helpfully point out and give them constructive criticism. Like, okay, this was really good. You had a little problem here, you know, but I also enjoyed this, 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 and this, you know, and with the bad thing, you also, like, you know, cushion it with like two good things. So you don't, like, you don't want to hurt or crush a new writer or anything like that. You want to build them up and encourage them. But at the same time, point out, okay, this is how you can improve. These are things you need to fix. You know, and you kind of feel like you gotta do that with Buckleming, except maybe a little firmer and a little stricter, with maybe like a squirt bottle, like, bad, no, bad. I kind of feel like that sometimes. Like, no, no, go stand in the corner. No biscuit for you. Bad. You know? But like I said, not every review is going to be like this. There was really nothing for you to watch this time as far as my reaction watching the episode. I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to talk about it this time. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll tune in. And please forgive me for my small ranting. It's like 11:30, almost midnight. I'm tired. It's been a very long week with lots of patience. I'm exhausted, so I probably rambled a lot more than I meant to. Have a good weekend. Bye!